It's late August of 2024. Democrats from across the country have descended on Chicago for their party's national convention. With President Joe Biden stepping out of the race, the spotlight is suddenly on Vice President Kamala Harris.
My pledge to you.
Enthusiasm and some new optimism are surging in the United Center. But there is some trepidation among delegates as well. Polls show Donald Trump leading in many crucial battleground states. And there's something else.
This is Project 2025.
Project 2025.
Project 2025.
A particular phrase that's caught fire over the summer on social media, search engines, and cable news that's igniting fears for Democrats of what could be in store in a second Trump administration, from politicizing the Justice Department to more stringent bans on abortion access. That phrase is Project 2025. And on the convention floor, it conjures some strong emotions.
Overall, it's very scary. And to me, Project 2025 is all about going back.
Attack on democracy. That's exactly what people think of it when they hear it.
As a member of the LGBTQ community, it's pretty terrifying because a lot of the stuff that's in there is a lot about taking away people's rights, regardless if they're gay or lesbian.
So what is Project 2025? Who's behind it? And how much could a 922-page book serve as a blueprint for conservative ambitions for years to come? The answers to these questions lie with a cryptic think tank just blocks from the U.S. Capitol building, a place called the Heritage Foundation. Think tanks are a cottage industry in Washington, D.C. By some counts, there's over 400 different policy centers in the nation's capital, more than anywhere else in the world. Among the most prominent, however, is the Heritage Foundation, a self-described research and educational institution founded in 1973, whose mission is to promote conservative policies.
The place of ideas in politics, the importance of the Heritage Foundation.
In the 1980s, the Heritage Foundation wrote policy suggestions for then-President Ronald Reagan, and they have continued to do so for other Republican presidents throughout the years. But Project 2025 is slightly different.
What's different this time, what made it Project 2025, was to go beyond heritage and actually convene a coalition of 100 conservative groups. So there's not just speaking for heritage, but speaking for all these groups in this coalition.
Out of that coalition came this 922-page book titled Mandate for Leadership, which was published in early 2023.
Well, the idea was to be like an off-the-shelf, out-of-the-box policy blueprint for the next Republican president, whoever that was. And to establish a consensus, not just for the Heritage Foundation, but for the whole conservative movement.
Here's a look at a few of the proposals that have raised eyebrows. The book lays out how the next president could concentrate power in the executive branch and remove civil service protections for legions of federal workers. It provides detailed plans for eliminating the Department of Education and moving the Justice Department under presidential control. It calls for mass deportations of immigrants who came to the United States as children, often known as dreamers. And Project 2025 also proposes restricting access to abortion medication and blocking shipments in the mail, something Trump the candidate has not embraced. The book went mostly unnoticed in the mainstream for a bit until...
Let's talk about Trump's second term. Who's making those plans for him, what they entail, and how much damage they could do. And the main insight we have into all of this comes from something called Project 2025.
Typically, these, a 922-page conservative policy tome does not land with tremendous buzz and excitement. But again, when it really takes off is in June. Comedian John Oliver devotes the entire 30-minute segment of his very popular HBO show to Project 2025. And then it has a whole second half-life on social media, on YouTube, and it gets viewed millions of times over 2 months. And then even more than John Oliver, what really makes it go viral is at the very end of June, Taraji P. Henson, who is also the host of the BET Awards, she uses her platform to sort of warn viewers against Project 2025.
The Project 2025 plan is not a game. Look it up.
She says what turns out to be a very compelling message. Look, you don't need to trust me. Look it up yourself. Google it yourself. Go read the 922 pages. And that's exactly what people do.
And in the wake of that 1-2 celebrity punch, Google search traffic started spiking. Project 2025 related posts averaged over 27 million views per day in July.
So it was certainly something that Democrats were pushing, but I think even they were sort of surprised by how much they were hearing it back from voters, that people were raising it in focus groups unprompted. And that was the sign that it was something that was really resonating, and that they would then start messaging harder, to the point that now you almost hear it in tandem with Trump's name.
Complete control.
Just days after Democrats left Chicago, the Harris campaign unleashed new TV ads, helping weaponize the phrase even further.
It's called Project 2025.
But is Project 2025 really a blueprint for a potential second Trump administration? The Trump campaign has emphatically denied any association.
I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it.
And Trump campaign officials have even gone so far as to attack the Heritage Foundation on social media.
It's funny, the Heritage Foundation released this document. They wanted attention for it. Now it's become an albatross around their neck that's hurting their relationship with the Trump campaign.
Instead, Trump's campaign will point to what they call Agenda 47, a 20-point missive outlining his priorities.
On the one hand, a number of the proposals, I believe at least 270, but a number of the proposals contained in this book are either things that Trump did or tried to do when he was president, or his campaign has said he would do if president again. There's also a bunch of things that Trump has not tried to do, has said he would not do, or has not weighed in on either way.
Despite Trump's efforts to distance himself, a review of the project by CBS News found 28 of the project's 38 main authors had worked in the Trump administration.
When Trump says he doesn't have anything to do with it, these are all people who, he does know many of these people. He's in touch with many of these people. These are all people who worked for him and view themselves as trying to continue the agenda that he put in motion.
Donald Trump and the MAGA movement.
And Trump is known to have at least some relationship with the man who is the project's chief architect, Heritage Foundation CEO Kevin Roberts. Roberts took the helm of Heritage in 2021, at a time when the foundation was embracing a more populist conservative stance on a number of issues that were more in line with Donald Trump.
It clearly demonstrates how Trump has transformed the Republican Party, has transformed the conservative movement, has transformed the Heritage Foundation.
In April of 2022, about a year before Mandate for Leadership was published, Roberts and Trump shared a 45-minute private flight to a Heritage Foundation conference in Florida, where Trump spoke.
Heritage does such an incredible job. This is a great group, and they're going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do.
Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, has also had close connections with Kevin Roberts.
When I read Hillbilly Elegy, for example, I immediately felt a personal connection to J.D. Vance.
And Roberts' tenure as CEO of Heritage has faced controversy aside from Project 2025.
I think a lot of stakeholders have been surprised by the extent to which Kevin Roberts has changed the foundation ideologically, and that's been controversial internally. It's been controversial more broadly.
Roberts has also come under scrutiny for using suggestive language in speeches that some feel hints at violence.
We're in the process of taking this country back. We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
The Washington Post made numerous attempts to talk to Kevin Roberts or anyone from Heritage for this piece, but were declined. Meantime, Democrats and Republicans are left to contemplate, regardless of the outcome of the election, how much the project will lay a blueprint for Republican candidates for years to come.
These are Trump's people. Practically speaking, the idea of trying to staff a second Trump administration without any of the people who participated in Project 2025, you'd be looking at a lot of job openings.